say enable the ICR skill, then you can say play ICRFM.
So, good morning.
To listen to ICR on Amazon Smart Speaker, enable the ICR skill. You can do this by saying enable the ICRFM skill, and after that you can then say
1, 2, 1, 2.
detailed instructions. Or for more information or if you need help, visit ICRFM.com.
Hello.
Okay?
Hello. I can hear it.
Yeah, that's better.
I'll be here on Fridays from 11 until midnight. Everything from psych, garage rock, to library music and
I think should have some sponsorship.
tunes that will soothe your troubles
Good
away.
morning.
So,
Well,
as
sit
it
back.
arrives at the calm bedside
Good morning.
manner, Tune into the psychedelic
Sit
surgery.
back.
Every Friday night at 11.
I hope your day, whatever today
Radio
is,
music you want to hear.
bringing you, make sure
Organised audio output.
you're in control of your day.
At its female shelter.
Whatever you're going through,
Hijack the airwaves to midnight.
it's just an emotion.
Every Thursday.
And it will not last forever. Where's the light in this place anyway?
Ska, rock, soul, funk, soul, country.
We're in the ICR studio.
It's more the state
Hang on, let me see if I can say good morning. They say good.
shelter. 12 till 2. Thursday
I'll just go hi. Yeah, hi. Any questions? Go live, we're going radio. Somebody left biscuits. You leave biscuits lying around. It's the worst thing you should do. Are you a dunker or do you just eat it? Do you dunk your biscuits in your tea or do you just eat them? Do you dunk your chocolate in your tea? I'm a dunker. I want my seat now.
On 105.7 FM, this is ICR. Sit back and enjoy the show.
I hope he plays good music today.
Good morning and welcome to the Crime Lab. It's Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock. Secret agent in the house alongside the Mom Project, but we'll get back to that a bit later on. So I'm going to start the show off, no messing about, straight into it.
We can do morning exercise. Can you take that one, please? Ready? And breathe. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Bring in through your nose and out through your mouth. Guaranteed to try and handle anxiety and any panic that you're having. Getting a hold of your breathing. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Start your day with that. Get the head right. That's the start. Why not make these mornings, Tuesday mornings, part of an exercise journey? Got music, right? And they can't take it because it's a radio station, so Facebook cannot block the music. So, if you're in your room and you're up, just shake it down. If you remember Thin Lizzy, if you're my age, she did this every morning at 7 o'clock. Yeah? You're not really going to lose much that way. But throw your hands around, look. They all make pretty movements. Was it? What about this one? Big fish, little fish, hard board. Who knows how to do that one? Was a Vogue. This is Craig David. Tell me what you're gonna do. Hello, Kerry. I can't believe you're watching yourself. We're going to do exercise. I'm hardly going to exercise to this, am I? Further back. I'm only here to put a smile on your face this morning and tell you how you can protect yourself. I'm out of breath. To the back, that's where it is at. You know, be up and boing. That's the only bit I remember in the song. Tell me what you gonna do. On the dance floor. Back to the back, that's, you know, do we like that? We're strange over your oink. Doesn't look like anyone's awake. Still people are, oh, of course they're still in bed, aren't they? Not going to get anything done if you remain in bed. You have to have a get up and go attitude, or get up and try and achieve attitude, because you certainly won't get a lot done if you remain under the duvet. So, selector, it's now back to the radio. We do any funding in this studio, so we're going to do some fundraising for ICR this year. Oh, can you remember this song? I love this song. Bit of exercise. Oh, even though I've got a bad back. Yes. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 1, 2, 3, and forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything's fours because it's the beat. You can do what you like with it as long as you keep to the beat. Listen to the beat. A lot of people don't know about beat, and therefore they end up dancing out of tune because they don't know about beat, rhythm. And if you can hear, you can make anything and pick a tune or an instrument out of the music you're hearing and put that in a certain beat. But they normally go into 6s and 8s and 4s before it changes the beat. So, 1, I'll give you an instance. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, be there to catch when you fall. I do look larger, that's because I have 2 layers of tops on. Music, you can get lost in music, and it does change your mood. So if you're feeling kind of dim, put the correct music on, not soppy music. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. I'm going to play this back every morning. That way I've done my exercises. Dance to myself. Just listen to the beat. You don't even have to get out of your chair. Look. You're still doing your chair. So it's not really an excuse. If you can't use your limbs, use your head. And you can actually roll it all the way round. And then do your shoulders. I think I'm going to come down every Tuesday and get a little bit of exercise. What do you think? Oh, if you notice, there's a singing app. It's called Singing Therapy. Jump on, share it with your mates. I don't care. We're not here to seek approval. We're here to be in the moment. We're here and now. So join that singing creative therapy group. Post your bits, guitar, instrument, sing. Got a little bit of exercise this morning. Oh, he thinks I guess we're going to step it up with the exercise then. Check this out, I'm going to do this on Tuesdays, aren't I? Get that Alicia down here as well, or anybody else. Okay, what does this go in? You just find your own beat, don't you? Never really liked this song. No. It's a baby song, isn't it? Is this how you dance to this? Is it? I hate it when you're in a club and it goes like still. I guess you go slow motion to that. And then it goes really fast. Morning. We're doing exercise with ICR. Exercise with ICR in the comfort of your own home. Or maybe in the office. Get your exercise. Does she really dance to that? This is the way they do this, isn't it? In a club. Isn't it? That's it. That was the dance that came in, this one. And I never sort of got this one much. See? Music, it really does do something too, doesn't it? But what are you doing to me? I don't like dancing to this. Fun biscuit. Do the exercises and biscuit. When was the last time you went out? Last time I went to a nightclub. Nightclub. Ages ago, years ago. Nightclub. I haven't been to a nightclub. I've been out to an event, which was a private event, but a nightclub I haven't been for one for a long time. Can't handle the alcoholics. They're nice. I'm alright, love. And then, you know, people are so friendly when they're drinking, but when they're drinking, they can actually be not people you want to sort of be around. Morning, Adam. We were on the ICR nude this morning, and I was just filling in, getting a little bit of exercise. I got a shift. How about now then?
Yeah, that's fine.
Hey, Kerry. Hey, Adam. Share it. I don't care where you share it, because this morning we're talking about online bullying.
Okay, and there we have it. Hope you liked our little warm-up session. We started off this morning with Rewind from Craig David, and then we moved over to the sounds of Doolally, Straight from the Heart, and that was a little bit of Luck by DJ Luck and MC Neat. So I hope you enjoyed that fast pace this morning. We've also got our resident Mom Project dance instructor in the studio.
Yes, I was making use of the music.
Good morning, Kerry.
Good morning. Good morning.
How's things?
Yep, great. I thought I'd get a bit of exercise in. And I thought, you know, why waste the opportunity every time I come down the radio, you're playing music. I might as well express a little bit, and maybe hopefully some of my viewers who are watching are maybe dancing in the background for a bit of exercise.
Okay, that's good. Well, your viewers, if they are watching, will know that I'm sweating, doing nothing, just sitting here watching you gyrate up and down. But that's all good. That's all good. So we're gonna have a discussion this morning surrounding cyber bullying. But just before we go into that, I want to just say to people to do the best that they can to prevent the spread of this coronavirus, or better known now as COVID-19, which is the official term that the scientists use. Start by washing your hands and keeping everything around you clean. Use hand sanitizers where provided. One of the biggest things is people coughing and sneezing in public, and the phrase is when you sneeze it, catch it, in a tissue or handkerchief, and then dispose of it, and then wash your hands. The government they've had their COBRA meetings. COBRA, forget what the acronym stands for now, but basically when there is any state of emergency, the government get together down in Whitehall and they sit down. The Prime Minister will have his or her top advisors from each department, and they will all chip in to find out the best way of moving forward. They'll liaise with police and fire services to see what contingency measures will be put in place. And they've had a series of those meetings. They had one yesterday, and according to the Prime Minister, it does seem that this situation will get worse before it gets better. Now, just to put you in the picture, over in Italy, the country is pretty much, the north of the country, which is where they've had the most deaths and the most recorded numbers of people suffering with COVID-19. They've locked the country down, so it means that you can't freely travel to and from north and south. Equally, people have been advised, if they're going to such places, to make sure that there is adequate facilities insofar as healthcare and so on and so forth. So we'll watch this space. I do believe there was a suspected case here in Ipswich. The hospital went into overdrive last week, but it turns out it was a false alarm. So far, the last that I heard yesterday, there were 4 confirmed deaths here in the UK, and I believe one of those people had just come back from Italy.
In relation to the I don't even know how you say the word. Coronavirus. In relation to that is causing a lot of panic, and people are worried. And I will say it's actually affecting people's mental health, and I'm going to have to go down that road. I had one of my members call us up. She says, I think I've got the virus. She said, why? I said, because I've been to the hospital, the same hospital that had that suspected case in there. And my advice that I could give back, particularly as she had children around as well, was I asked how long she'd been feeling unwell, and if she really does feel unwell, that she should call and make a call to her GP surgery, who would then further advise her as to what to do. She did have a problem in her ear, and she was a bit hot, but being as able to, I could see if there was a little bit of difference. I think there was a little bit of rundown, but I wanted to reassure her that there's no point in panicking and putting yourself through that without that actual diagnosis.
Sure.
If you feel unwell, then you feel unwell. It doesn't necessarily mean it is this coronavirus. It could be a virus in particular, and it could be, it could be even flu. It could be, but perhaps it's because you've had a further deterioration within your health, which has then pulled down your immune system a little bit. So there are other reasons why you may not feel poorly, but if you suspect that you feel different and strange, and you are having some of those symptoms, which you can actually look, but you can overdo yourself if you keep looking about symptoms. You can actually really embed in your mind and make yourself ill when you keep looking at your what's wrong with me, and you keep reading what's wrong. If you're unsure, go to a GP or phone the emergency services.
Well, yeah, because this is the other issue. Normally, when we are ill or sick, first thing we do is go down to the local GP, or if you're really bad, you go straight to the hospital.
Yeah.
Now they're advising you,
To stay at home.
yeah, to stay at home, and as the phrase is, self-isolate. So I guess now what happens is if you feel really unwell, you to call 101, and they will give you the advice, and I'm positive the advice would be that I guess they're going to ask you a series of questions, what your symptoms are, as you rightly pointed out, but they're certainly not going to invite you in to...
I don't understand what the toilet roll's got to do with anything, though.
Right.
I mean, unless they're using it as a mask and things.
No, that's a good point. The toilet roll.
Because I did see sanitary towels put on people's faces as well.
Yeah.
They were
I've
doing
seen
everything
that.
to...
I think the toilet roll, as you've just pointed out, because that seems to be the stuff that's flying off the shelves, which is another issue, panic buying.
Panic buying, yeah.
People are going out and they're just going crazy and buying everything, which to a certain degree is a selfish act. However, though, people are becoming more and more worried about this virus as more cases keep popping up. You know, you've got cruise ships out at sea holding people. I think the ship that was in California yesterday, they have about 19 cases on board. They're now disembarking, but there's also about 140 Britons on.
Makes you wonder if this is a deliberate virus that's put out there to reduce the rates of humanity, being as you had everything like all of this Brexit, and you had, I don't want to get into politics too much, but it does make you, we know that, first of all, they talked about it came from a bat soup, then what that then done was made people not like Chinese people. It put so much discrimination in, so much... I saw some horrible posts on Facebook in relation to where they're from and what kind of food they eat, speculating that virus was from blaming individual cultures. Well, and I believe, I believe at the end of the day, and I made this quite clear, that when you are living in a different culture and you're living in a different area, you're living in a different land, we will eat different things. It's known. When you come to UK, you will eat your roast dinners, and that's known. If you go to Jamaica or the Caribbean, you'll eat Caribbean rice. And if you go to these Asian countries, you'll probably eat everything. That's the way they were brought up. They do not come over here and tell us what we should eat and exchange the roast dinners for their food. They don't. Each to their own, and what they eat. It's the way we're brought up, and culture differences, and what foods we eat. But we shouldn't be blamed on a virus, and people are getting bullied over it just because it's coming from some destination.
Well, I on that point...
But yeah, it's airborne, right?
Yeah, just to be more specific.
Yes, please.
I as much as I love a conspiracy theory, I will edge on the side of caution. Now, you're right, in the beginning they did say that it's this coronavirus comes from bats, and people eating bat soup and all sorts of stuff. Now, the version of that I got were that the people were eating the bats live, and there were a couple of gruesome videos that I have seen. Whether or not it is true, I can't verify it, but I've seen what looks like a bat moving around and then somebody biting it in half. Now, that may sound grotesque, which I personally think it is. However, you will remember that Ozzy Osbourne famously ate a bat on stage, and that's where he made his name, so there must be something in it. But on a more serious note, the virus, which I didn't know until later on, was contained in China in a place where they hold the most deadliest viruses on the face of the planet. I forget the name of the actual facility, but that facility is in China itself. So when you put that together, and then you hear that, well, there's an outbreak of a virus in China, and then all of a sudden it's this coronavirus that nobody's ever heard of, but yet they have a stockpile of it where they're obviously testing it.
Well, it's on the bottom of the Dettol bottles and
Right,
things
right.
like that.
And
So
and
if
that's
it's been around
right.
for absolutely years, I mean, if you go and look on the search engines, then, you know, it actually tells you when they actually made that point.
Well, the funny
And that's
thing
before it came out.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Now, again, there's loads of posts that you will see on Facebook where people are saying, "Oh, look on the back of Dettol," as you said, and these cleaning products.
I did.
I've not looked for myself, but what I've seen looks pretty convincing. People are going all around the world saying, "Look, coronavirus."
Well, I personally think, you know, at the end of the day, these lab testings, you know, that there've been a lot of history over lab testings a long time ago, but to be making up such a virus like that.
You know what I think?
Well, I think you should. I want to end that one on a good one, because for me, I'm thinking to myself, you still have to live for today, and you still have to live in the moment. You've got more chances of being hit by a bus than catching that. Okay, so you have to be very careful and clean and tidy, and just watch your journey.
Yeah, I guess you do. I think for me, what has to happen, I think everybody has to play their part. I think personally, as a society, we've become very loose with our standards. You know, when we were kids, everybody knows I'm from London, and when I was a kid, there used to be signs on every lamppost saying, "Keep Britain tidy, keep Britain clean," with a little sign of to illustrate picking up your litter and don't litter and stuff like that. Those signs were everywhere. You don't see those sorts of things anymore. So I think, you know, now we're required. This is where we have to up our game, you know?
Well, one of my viewers just said, just wash your hands, and apparently a hot bath can help with this virus, as you can sweat it out.
That's a possibility. I'll take that on board. Another thing to mention, something I saw on the telly just 2 days ago, was somebody having a discussion just like this, and somebody phoned in and asked one of the medical advisors about the flu jab, and basically this lady had just had the flu jab. She has other underlying health issues, so she was given the flu jab as a priority to protect her from that. So her question was, will the flu jab...
Give you the flu.
No. Will the flu jab protect her from the coronavirus?
Mm-hmm.
And what the medical advisor said basically is, no, it wouldn't, because we're all looking at coronavirus, as it's the flu. But what the medical advisor said, it's a far more potent strain of influenza, and will tend to hit people hardest with respiratory tract type diseases. So, like, you know, if you've got bronchitis and asthma, and it's those types of things that affect the lungs. So just merely having the flu jab will not protect you from coronavirus. But what he did say was that by having the flu jab, it will protect you from the flu jab should you be already weakened and get attacked by the coronavirus. It kind of cancels one out, so it means that if you do unfortunately contract anything, it will only be one. There's no way that you could have the two, providing you've had this flu jab. So I thought that was
Interesting information.
Yeah,
I think at the end of the day, it's about hygiene.
very much so.
You know, but then is it going to force you to stop shaking people's hands?
Well,
Yeah, I mean, because I'm a very huggy person, and I'm in touch with people all the time, and I'm wondering that if that actually plays a part on people mentally now, whereas in how close they will get to. Well, I think it would.
Well,
Whether they shake their hands.
It started already, because yesterday.
This is why I don't touch doors, because this is what I always will pull my sleeve or get a tissue and try and hold a door,
I'll try
because
to avoid
I'm well
that.
aware of people that don't wash their hands after the toilet and leaving poop on the even
course.
shopping trolleys.
Of course.
When you're pushing the shopping trolleys, remember also probably to take a simple wet wipe will be fine. Okay, but or you say hand sanitizer, that just feels like water sometimes. This alcohol, that's the old thing we used to do, is get a bottle of the alcohol spiritual rub. That was curable for everything then. But I think that will play a part in how people interact, whether you're treated as if you've got a disease or, people will be worried. There will be people who will take that stance and won't shake your hand now.
Well, yesterday, as I said, the Prime Minister came out and had his officials either side of him, and he was asked that specific question: are you still shaking hands? Because yesterday the Queen had her Commonwealth, I forget the name of it now, but obviously Meghan and Harry and all the royal family were there, and it was noted that people aren't shaking hands. The Queen has been advised not to shake hands and so on and so forth. And even down to certain places like the church where you're having the Holy Communion, Holy Sacrament, people have been asked not to handle the small little bread and stuff. And then, so it's all those types of things. But one of the other points I'd like to mention about that is that everybody is looking for somebody who is sick, and one of the key points with this coronavirus is people have it.
They don't know
and
they've got
they
it.
don't know that they've got it, because we're all looking for somebody coughing and sneezing and dripping with sweat, and that doesn't seem to be the case.
Because there's no different. Well, in a sense, when there was the Ebola scare, same thing. And what about when they slaughtered hundreds? I will never forget that. That was the year. Oh gosh!
Are we talking about foot and mouth?
Foot and mouth, when they slaughtered all those animals. I was the other side of the world, and all I saw on UK was having a disaster. To see UK from another state of the world, and nothing but slaughter of animals because of a virus.
Well, it's funny you say that. I went to Barbados in 2001. It's the first and only time I've ever had to do this, but when I got off the plane, the first thing that hits you when you go to places like Barbados is the ridiculous sweltering heat, and you sort of, the door opens and you start coming down the steps and you're burning like, wow, this is hot. And as we got down the gantry, there was like I don't know what to call it. It was like a tub that you had to walk through.
Like they did at school before you got into the swimming bath.
Yes,
so you
exactly.
go
That's
and put yourself
exactly
in
like
that,
that.
anaesthetic.
Yeah.
Is it anaesthetic? Nah.
Disinfectant.
And mine at the time was red, bright red or oranges.
That was
iodine, isn't it?
I think it might have been. That was to protect you from verrucas, which never protected me, because I actually got a verruca, and I suffered with that for about 3 years. Yeah, I certainly did. Yeah.
Talcum powder on the floor, on the wet floor, things like that.
Is that what I say? All right. Okay.
Right.
So and not drying your feet properly as well. But yeah, exactly what you say. That little trough, I think, is the best word for it. And there was actually armed officers standing there, making sure that when you stepped down that plane, you didn't have to get in it and slosh about. You just had to
walk through
it and come out. That was to protect. How effective it is, I do not know. But that's coronavirus. I wanted to talk about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you a track, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to discuss the issues surrounding cyberbullying. See you on the other side.
Morning, and Mashara's. Exercise time now. He doesn't give me any good music that I can exercise to. I mean, this is just a warm up.
You have yours already.
Just a touch of love, a little bit. Like a sign language. Touch. Yeah, you want to... Boy, they can talk, can't we? Hot bath, eh? Coronavirus. I don't watch the news. This is why you don't touch handles. Where are you going? I've got the radio all to myself. Left me out. Right, Adam. Oh. I'm trying to press this button so I can see more. It says see more. And it won't let me see more. But Adam will contemplate going on the radio to share your story. Yeah, sometimes if you contact your radio shows, they will let you hijack the radio stations for morning. Yeah, just get in contact with them. Your local radio station is more prone to help out there. So I think talking, just doing, look, what's your day look like? What does your day look like? Never thought you'd be down a radio station. No, not me. I've been down 2 in 2 days. And their pictures lopsided. Like, look at this. I think they need to fix it. Oh, that's just... That picture's upside down. What's going on with the picture? Huh? There we go. We're back on the ICR. What? Can I have a good song before you go? I'm not saying this is not a nice song, it's just not giving me any energy. I'd be changing it over if that was me. There's no energy in that song. Can we spend some time? Yeah, the singing, creating thing. You know what? I'm not perfect, but I do just get in my own zone. And no, you're not really singing the next person that you see in the screen. I actually sung with myself. That was funny. That's a free app, so yeah, if you look, it's got the Mom Wings on it, creative therapy. If you can play an instrument, use that platform, put your instrument in there to see what you can play. I'm learning to play a guitar. Never thought I would, but I can actually play a note. Just like that, picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, putting it down on my own time. But I decided that I was going to try a new instrument before I died. So in essential, I'm doing a bucket list. I guess that bucket list, you can call it a list of to completion of wishes before you leave this world. And I guess I'm fulfilling my wishes. So I guess I certainly am fulfilling my wishes. Just a little bit. Yeah. Can we sense? Oh yeah. Do. See if you get a swivel chair. Oh yeah, now I'm gonna fill up my school watches. Ready? Okay. Sit. Want to do it again? Oh, you big kid. Oh yes. Watch this. Let me do it this way. Ready? Oh yeah. So dizzy. I love that phrase, hashtag bouncing back. It is what it is. It don't matter.
Okay, and that was Slave with Just a Touch. So, back on the other side, as I promised you, I'm here with the marvellous Kerry from the fantastic Mom Project. How you doing, Kerry?
Hello.
Good. So, we are going to discuss cyberbullying.
Yep, we are.
tell us all about it, because I know that you've had your own trials and tribulations with such things.
Cyberbullying can have an emotional effect on your mental health. You can be made a target of and belittled, and then other people jump on the bandwagon without knowing anything, the gossip stuff, and then they would belittle someone even more, put them down and gossip about them, spread information. Perhaps they would take a photograph of the person's profile and pin it on their own or in a group to publicly humiliating them,
Okay.
putting their family at risk and putting their own lives at risk. But yeah, it really has an effect on people's mental health to the point where they will commit suicide.
Sure. And on that note, such behaviour, although we're not 100% sure, but we can, sort of 75% assume that the death of Caroline Flack, the former presenter of Love Island a few weeks ago, that was one of the things that her family is saying she was suffering with, cyberbullying, people saying things about her.
Too many people up in someone's business, that's the problem. Up in someone's
that.
personal life, don't approve of something they're doing or
Yeah.
whatever, and then just go on a personal manhunt to attack them, defamation of character.
Yes. Now, you see, for me, the issue here is it's a very grey area, because as much as we all have the right to privacy on these different platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and all the other list of all the rest of them, I do follow a group of people, and they are called the paedophile hunters. Now, I follow this group, although their methods could be argued that they are very unorthodox.
I think it's unfair. If I'm honest, I've seen these. I've seen them. I mean, all four. From a personal experience, I am a woman that has been abused as a child. So you can, even when I'm seeing somebody that's caught in the act, and you're hearing those text messages that are being read out by the people that have caught these perpetrators. They're young girls, 14 years old, and this, that, and the other, and they openly admit on the Facebook Live that it has been them that's contacted these 14-year-old girls, and some of the text messages that they read out are very, very heartbreaking. Imagine that. Look, you've got to be grateful for the work that they do, but in the mannerism that they do it, I feel that it needs to be very carefully more thought out more, because when they're exposing these people on their home doorstep, sometimes the wife is there, or sometimes the other children are there. They're not aware of what is going on, what that one person is doing out in the community.
That's right.
And so therefore it has a devastating impact. Nobody's got a chance to get their head around anything, and it affects everyone. Now, I do think that it is done wrong. I think, yes, you catch them, let the police deal with whatever they got to deal with them until you get that conviction. Then you cannot. It's innocent until proven guilty. That's what they say. Even if you got the facts, it's still innocent until proven guilty. And you cannot take the law into your own hands. And the way I think about this live video and these perpetrators on their doors, much as I've been a victim, I still, as a survivor, disagree in the methods of filming these people at their homes, on their doorsteps, particularly when they've got wife and children there.
Well,
and not that, some of them are completely vulnerable, really, really vulnerable. I know they probably know what they're doing or don't know what they're doing. It's a habit, but when you look at them, you can actually turn. They've got learning disabilities, etc. as well. So it's not everyone, but in particular, you can actually see just how unwell some people are doing that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that I had a discussion about a month ago with an individual who participates in sort of, if you will, creating a sting to catch somebody in the act. And for me personally, everything that was done up until the point that they intercepted this individual was correct.
Correct, yeah. Safely.
Yeah, that, you know, they were sitting. This is why I say there's a fine line, because they're sitting at home and they're watching people's profiles, but equally some will argue that it's entrapment, because, you know, you're sitting there posing to be a 12-year-old girl or a 15-year-old boy, and these people are taking the bait. But nevertheless, these people shouldn't be trying to frequent these young people with some of the evil things that they have planned for them. So anyway, they get to this particular train station. This wasn't anywhere local, it was somewhere up north, and they you know, speak to this fella who was about 30 years old, but then from capturing him in the act, and as you rightly say, getting him to admit his name was Bob for argument's sake, and he'd come to meet Sally for argument's sake. Do you agree that, you know, Sally was, you know, 12 years old? Yes. And they got him to go through that procedure. So there was an admission of guilt there and then. So for me, as I sort of commented, you know, the offence, as it were, is complete at that point. But then what started to happen was the individual conducting the interview, if I can call it that, started to become aggressive, started to become abusive, and then they always travel in.
Yeah, unprofessional.
Yeah, you know, two or three of them, and then it became more like mob mentality, mob rule. You know?
The thing that I want to point out is that when, you may find that somebody has done something wrong in the community and has been now a sex offender. There are different levels of a sex offence. Some it could be a magazine, some it could be sharing that internet information. Mm-hmm. Some could literally be actually sexual content with minors, etc. There are different levels of it, and I think, you know, some people, can they learn from it? Will they understand that it's wrong, even by looking at childlike images, etc. You know, and I think for me, when it comes to any kind of that behaviour, I think given the chance, I think the police should be dealing with that, because up until that level, as you said, these people were acting pretty professional. Mm-hmm. But what happens, and what they don't consider, is the fact that you're putting it live on Facebook and the fact that you're out in the community. Mm-hmm. Given a chance, somebody out there will go and take matters in their own hands to seek revenge and say, right, this is for my sister, or this is for my brother, and try to seek revenge. Well, then what happens is, then for the fact that somebody wants to seek revenge, they're ending up in prison, all for the fact of seeking revenge. And it's not. No, I want to just point out that, sorry, darling, as a woman that has been abused as a child, it is our right, the person that has been abused, it is our right to seek our justice the way we need to seek justice legally. And it isn't for anybody else to take away that pain and replace it with their aggression to seek revenge.
I do understand that. I was going to say, in relation to that, you've also got to be right also, because, you know, could the person that you be, for argument's sake, you know, how many times, I know you've got children who, albeit are grown children now, but do you remember back in the day, you'd be sitting in your house and all of a sudden you get a knock at the door, and you open the door and it's the fire brigade, and you're like, hello, what do you want? And he's like, oh, we've got a call from this address, the house is on fire. Now they come out to check to make sure that the house isn't on fire. But that's because your 3-year-old.
I made that full. Yeah. I've had that.
Right, there you go. That's precisely what I'm saying. Now, it didn't happen to my family, because the phone used to be really high on the wall and it was very well guarded by my dad. However, exactly what I've just said happened to my next door neighbour. She nipped literally across the road to go and get some milk, and within the time she came back, her youngest son, who was probably about 5, made that call because he thought it was funny, you know, to dial 999, and naturally they came. The point that I'm making there is, in many households across the country, and indeed across the world, not everybody is fortunate to have a smartphone and a laptop or computer in every single room. So what if Dad is using his laptop for work and he goes down the road, and then his son goes on the laptop and communicates,
they did this,
not understanding that you know, we all think by hitting delete gets rid of everything, but it doesn't. You know, these forensic scientists can dig, you know, the undead from out of your servers and stuff like that, and find who communicated. So, like you say, sort of investigating on somebody's front door is one thing, but getting it right is something else.
It's a very valid point when you sit there and you talk about devices, and maybe devices in different rooms. And to be honest, at the end of the day, you never know who you're living with. You don't know what kind of character people are going to turn out to be, or what their fetish is, because that's what it is, a fetish. And it's a sick fetish, that one that costs lives and ruins lives for many, many years, and takes lives. So for me, I think, yeah, be careful about who you lend your devices to also, because you don't know what they're looking at. You know, also what you poke in on the search engines now, because I'm like very scared myself. Even I'm a woman, I'm sitting there thinking, well, what have I got? Even I'm a mum, what have I got children's images coming through my phone or something like that? Or I've told people point blank, be careful of the images that you send to people in their inboxes. Give them a choice of what they contents receive, because throwing things in people's inboxes, particularly young boys out there, will get a picture of a girl and they will disseminate it.
Yeah.
And
the sexting and they call it revenge porn.
Sexting and revenge porn. Well, I had somebody doing revenge porn on somebody else, on cyberbullying online, and it got out of hand for that person. He was targeted, she was targeted. I mean, the both of them, I think, suffered out of it. There was a lot of people that suffered out of the online bullying.
And on that note, because as usual, my fault, we're running out of time. I know, as we said at the beginning, you've suffered the cyberbullying, but what can be done to protect yourself? What did you do to protect yourself?
So to protect myself from online bullying, what I did is made sure that I screenshotted the perpetrators. If there was any information posted on their wall with my name or my photograph or anything with being disseminated out to somebody else, I screenshotted it. Anybody would send me the information. If somebody was talking about me to the inbox, they would then send it to me, a screenshot of it, so I can see that I am being spoken about and I am being torn down. So I would collate my evidence, I would I would do my background checks, and I would do it in a chronological order, dates, times, who, when, who's involved, and I made sure that I packaged that up. And at the end of that day, I had a case for the police. I wasn't the only target either, but I had a case for the police, who sent a warning and found an unknown person to me. I didn't know them, but they found that perpetrator and they gave them a warning. It has since ceased. They actually went on my YouTube again. So going on my YouTube, I was able to take procedures in the YouTube account of when it comes to a complaint. Now they're going to ask you for ID, and they're also going to ask you for any screenshot information, time, locations of how much information is on there about you. Then you put forward that case, all by email, to the official government bodies to sort the case out. They'll come back and say, right, we're removing that because you're right, or we're going to put a case on them. So yeah, I had that. So I secure my case to make sure that I send a very clear warning to people that are disseminating lies about myself, because I choose not to join someone's way of thinking.
Right, okay.
So that's the thing, isn't it? That's the key element.
Yeah, of
Don't
course.
join someone's way of thinking. Think for yourself.
For yourself, that's right. So you mentioned the different bodies, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. How did just briefly, how did the police receive your complaint? Were they receptive? Did they?
I think I'd done the work for them.
Right.
Got used to not... See, that's the thing, when you need to take and speak to the other side, the police, then rather than rant and rave, get your stuff in order before they come, and so they can make sense of what you're trying to say.
That's
so
good
I
advice.
gave it in date order, who is involved, what they said, even down to voice messages. I keep all of that, so there's no mistaking who contacted who first. So the police were very happy, very supportive. I must say that I think it was very helpful, them coming to my home and seeing the evidence.
Yes.
So that was very grateful, and having a female officer to help me through the difficult stages of the sexual content that came to my door, which was a trigger factor.
Right, okay.
So yes.
Sure.
Yeah, they're very helpful.
I'm glad that they...
That was Woodbridge Police, by the way.
Okay, I'm glad that they helped you out. It was something else I was going to ask you that's completely slipped my mind now, but do you feel that since you've been doing the ROM project that you've become more of a target, or is it a personal thing, or
I think I
or is it just simply armchair bullies?
No, it's just simply armchairs bullies. I've not been made a target. People can say what they want. I'm literally an open book. I'm very transparent, and therefore, if anybody questions me, here you go. Here is the evidence to whatever you're saying to me. I'm made a target over only if I don't conform to the way somebody wants me to act, and be in their life. And it's the bullies that when you're being bullied, it's generally that those bullies need you around to do something.
Yes.
To with their time.
Like
So
playground bullies.
So the fact that when you say no to bullying, that's when I have become a target, and people going from door to door, posting text messages of, oh, she's done this and she's done that. So for me, I say don't spread the gossip. Don't bother forwarding over text messages to continue gossip, because that means you'll be a part of it. Be safe, stay safe.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Excellent information. Kerry, as always, thank you very much for coming in and spreading your valuable knowledge, also along with the MOM project. I know you will be doing your class on Friday.
Every Fridays we have a workshop to tackle the underlying issues of depression. That's open talk workshop Friday, Melton. Registration, just contact me. 28th of March, Woodbridge Library, crime prevention, and the 10th of April, Good Friday, fancy dress karaoke, Westgate Social Club.
Excellent, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much. Take care. Goodbye.
Art speaker owners.
Cool, that was like cutting
Known
it
as
finally.
Amazon Echo device.
What was
Well,
going
We
on
could just
there?
talk. I think we need 2 hours.
Hello, Ipswich.
We could just talk and
To
talk and
listen
talk.
to ICR on your Amazon smart
Hello,
speaker,
Ipswich. To listen
say,
to ICR
enable
on
the
your smart
ICR skill. Then you can say, ICRFM.
so there you have it. To listen to ICR on your Amazon smart
There you
speaker,
have it.
enable the
So that's
ICR
ICR.
skill.
So we do try and get a little bit of information in what you can do. If you are being cyber bullied, make sure that you log it and make sure that you report it. Make sure you got enough to report. Otherwise it becomes handbags, doesn't it? So judge up what's worth reporting, what's not. Steer clear, block, delete, stay away from people that are mean, and be positive. I gotta go. I should put some good music on. I got a man with 2 left feet. So I couldn't sound. Go on now.
FM transmitter and our website and gain more.